Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Kelsey. This is my first video that I'm posting here on YouTube. I first started my makeup journey in the social media world on Instagram, where I started sharing some of my favorite products, more so my favorite items to use that can be made more work appropriate. And some of my favorite products that I've found have been with the brand Nudestix. Now I've been using Nudestix for over a year now, and all their products, as you can probably guess by the name, are stick products. So I have a certain way that I like to use them, and I want to share that with you today. So first of all, one of my favorite ways to use it is using specifically this brush here actually. It is from e.l.f. Samantha Ravindell actually got me hooked on this brush. Super affordable. I think it's like 12 bucks when you get it at Walmart, which is nice because it's accessible to Canadians as well. And I just find, like she said, with the longer bristles on here, it just blends it out so nicely. So the first product that I want to put on is, actually it's one of their highlighters, but it's a darker highlight, and since I'm, as you can see, fairly pale, I wanted to use it as my luminous bronzer. So this shade here is Brown Sugar Baby. What I like to do is, I don't personally like to apply it directly on the face because I don't tend to heavily apply things. So I first get it up on my brush here, just tap it in, and then from here, I like to just start slowly, very slowly as you can see, building the color up on my cheeks. Now I like doing this one as kind of my first layer because it's very like sheer, if you will, but of course it also has that bit of glow to it. So before starting this video, I prepared my skin. I did my basic skincare. I put a pore filler just kind of in the areas where I need it, and since I'm a combination skin type, I don't generally put a lot of extra moisturizer on my cheeks, especially if I literally just did my skincare routine. So I'm just gonna apply this to pretty much all the places where you would normally apply your bronzer, kind of on the cheekbone, maybe a little bit higher than what your contour is, and then because as you blend it'll go down on the forehead, and I love having that little bit of a glow showing up nicely kind of on your forehead here. So just buff it in. Now hopefully the sun doesn't take it away here. I don't have any sort of fancy lights or anything. I just like doing my makeup in my office in natural light, because anything for me when I do a makeup is I want it to look natural. There's some days when, of course, I'll play around a little bit more, you know, get a little fancy, a little crazy with it, but for the most part I keep it pretty darn natural. And honestly, I think there's quite a bit of an art in being able to make your skin look natural, but also have that little extra definition to it. So there's my first kind of layer. Now I'm the kind of person who, as you can see, has a spot actually on both my cheeks. It's not quite as noticeable on this side generally, where product doesn't really stick. Alana Davidson was actually just talking about this in one of her last videos, and it's something I've noticed for a while. So generally what I do is I just tap my finger on the product and just lightly pat it over that area kind of as I'm going each stage, because of course when I buff over it again it'll likely take a little bit of product off, but this way I gradually will start to kind of build that coverage on there. The second one I like to use is the shade Bondi Bay. Now this is just more of your basic kind of, well, bronzer shade, I guess, if you will. It's nice and warm, but it's not really red or anything like that. It's really nice. This was one of the first two products actually that I ever got from Nudestix. I heard so many great things about this. I wanted to get a product that was nice and natural and of course very easy to use. So this was one that I got. So this one, I'm still applying it into this kind of contour area a little bit higher, not going too crazy with it. I just like adding a little bit more of that bronze kind of shade to my skin. I'm just going to do that here on both sides. Now as you can see, I'm kind of doing like more so with this brush tapping motions, and then I'll blend a little bit, but because I'm not picking up a whole bunch of product on my brush, I can get away with just doing these kind of motions and then blending, because I'm not really trying to blend away color, I'm just trying to get a nice blend on my skin. The next product, and one of the last ones I'll be using for bronzing, I know this is a really kind of intense routine, but I have all three of these products and I figured why not use them? I know that I love the different effects that they give. So this last one here is Sun Kiss for bronzing anyways. And this was created by Mary Phillips. So this shade here is more of a terracotta, I think is what it's being described as. So it's got a bit more of those red tones to it. I really, really like this shade. Now you're gonna hear a lot of people, if you've been watching videos on this, talk about this as a blush. Personally, that's not how I see it. I still think it's a beautiful shade to add dimension to your cheeks. So when I put this on, I generally put it on a little bit higher than where I would have put Bondi Bay, the last color that we just used. The reason being is because it's got those red tones, I like adding a touch of color, of that red tone to the higher-ish points on my cheek. So I'm doing that because I think it looks super natural and it gives you that like, oh, I just spent some time out in the sun and, you know, got a little burn but not quite, or it's a burn that's faded a bit, so it's natural looking and, you know, it gives you a little extra dimension in your skin. Hopefully you can see what it looks like, and my lights, my natural light out there doesn't block it too much. Just grabbing some more product, going to go in on this side. Now I'm gonna have to work at this because I've never done any videos before and it's something I've been really wanting to do for a while because a lot of people find, especially products like these, to be a little bit more complicated to use. So I love the idea of being able to share how I use them to create a very like simple, but for me a flawless base. That's kind of like my go-to, my preference when it comes to makeup. I'm a person who gets acne. I have a few spots, as you can probably see on my skin here, and I don't usually really heavily cover it. I will conceal. Like today, for instance, I use my MAC Select Cover Up on my jawline, kind of in and around those spots. I did use a fuller cover foundation from what I normally use. I use the L'Oreal Fresh Wear, which is lovely if you're not wanting to spend a lot of time concealing your spots. But like I said, I don't really care if I have a little bit showing through there, a little bit here. I know that my skin isn't perfect and I kind of am just over it. This is the other shade actually that I got from Nudestix as one of my first items. So this is the shade Bareback. It's one of their, I think at the time it was just called a Nudies matte. Now they're specific, like they specify between blushes and bronzers because they've expanded their shades. This is kind of like your more cool tone, very soft pink. It's one of my favorite products to use on my cheeks when I just kind of want a very natural look, nothing too crazy intense. I start kind of on the apple of my cheek and then I stipple or do stippling motions, kind of going back towards my ear and to the outside of my face. This is always how I've done my blush. I think it's kind of more, some people say it's more of like the European way of applying blush. I just think it looks nice and natural, gives you a flush, kind of gives you, shapes out your face a little bit more. I just like to add a little bit of structure, especially since I don't generally do all that much on my eyes. So again, I'm just tapping this on, and then usually what I'll do is I'll tap a little bit over my nose. Sometimes if I really want to have like that sunny vibe, I'll use the color Sun Kiss, which was the last kind of bronzy shade, and I'll tap that all over so you get that kind of red, not quite burnt, not quite tan kind of vibe. So there you can see it's just kind of a very like gentle flush. The next product and last kind of like stick face product I'm going to use is one of the new Nudies Blooms. So these are kind of like their dewy, more emollient blushes. This one here is in the shade Cherry Blossom Babe. Now I like to layer these two because I don't generally like to pull something like this all the way over the same spots where I just kind of use that product, because I find it can move around a little bit more, it can get a little bit finicky. I'm a person who constantly is like putting my hair behind my ears and touching this area, so I don't really want something that's more tacky. It's not going to be so tacky that you like feel it sitting there, but still it's something you notice. So I usually tap it kind of on the apples of my cheek if I have, like, I gather enough product for both cheeks there. And then what I'll do is I'll start kind of tapping it out, pretty much concentrating it on the apples of my cheek. And then what I'll do, if I, depending on the day of course, but I'll kind of, then I'll pull it back if I want to really like make sure it's all nice and blended in, but really focusing that color on the front of the cheeks here. So that's kind of how I like to create my everyday base, kind of just natural, healthy looking skin. That's how I like to roll. Now if it's just kind of like a day I'm rushing to get out the door, I'll just throw in a lip product, and I really love the new Nudestix Lip Glacé. They're just really nice kind of gloss. They have a little bit of that mint mintiness to them because they're supposed to be plumping. They have those nice rich oils in there to give you all that extra added benefit. And this is how I would basically wear my looks most days. I wouldn't really feel the need necessarily to even add a highlighter, because I feel like when I use that glowy bronzer and I use that dewy blush, doesn't really need anything else. I'm already I got that inner glow covered. Especially being someone who gets a little bit oilier, I don't really have to do that extra step. However, I will for today, just to kind of play with a few more products while I'm with you here. I have the Nudestix Magnetic Glimmers, so I have the shade 99% Angel. Now this one here is more of your light kind of pinky shade. I love it. It's nice and shiny. I just think it has a really natural feel. I don't really like to waste products, so I'm going to use what I swatched here on my cheeks. That way I'm not completely just letting it sit and waste. So I'm just tapping it kind of on the high points here. You can see it definitely does add a little bit extra to it. And then what I'll do is also put a little bit kind of on my inner corner here with what I have left. And that can be a really simple way to just add a little extra, especially maybe if you're more dry, you want to have a little extra glow, a little extra dew on your face. That can be a really nice way to use it. Now, the other shade that I have is Bronze Eye Bay. Now, this one wouldn't have been a shade I would have normally gravitated to, because, of course, I can't use this as highlight. This is very, very dark. But it was in the summer proof kit that I got from Nudestix. So what I have been doing is I've been putting it actually on my eyes. Now it's really nice. I actually like to use this shade along with the 99% Angel, because 99% Angel is that nice bright shade, and this one I love to kind of just wash over the lid if I really want to have that kind of bronzy look. I'll do a little swatch for you here. And you can see it's got that really gorgeous color. So I'm just gonna take what I have here and just simply wash a little bit over the lid. So you can make this super intense, or you can make it very, very, like, again, natural wash. I'm just gonna do the natural wash today because I'm not really going anywhere fancy and I don't really need to have anything more extravagant on than this. I must say, I do love this color with my blue eyes. I think it really complements, well, it probably would actually complement most colors just because of the nature of the brown. But blue and green, of course, this really brings them out in my opinion. I really do love most Nudestix products. I have a fairly good collection myself. I have a bunch of their lip pencils. I have a bunch of their eye pencils. I find them really great to use, not too much of a learning curve to pick them up. I love how you can just do things with your fingers. You don't necessarily need to have your brush. Like, for instance, say I'm out during the day and for some reason I notice that my bronzer color is like, it's fading, or I need something extra, or I wiped a little bit of it off. If I have this in my bag, all I have to do is a little tap tap, rub, and then tap it into the skin. and it's that easy, and it's blended out. I mean, it's just such a simple product to use. Super great for those on the go, and for those who are kind of like working, they don't have a lot of time to spend on their makeup, but they want that nice, impactful, fresh look. So that completes this video for today. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm hoping to start putting videos up fairly frequently. This isn't my full-time job. I work in an office full-time, but makeup is something that I'm really passionate about, love playing with, and love sharing that with the world. So thanks again, and hope you have a wonderful day.